Hello students, again we are going to continue with the lesson Everything I Need to Know I Learned in the Forest by Vandana Shiva. Okay, in the previous episode or class we have discussed about how she got involved, or Vandana Shiva got involved in this movement. Now again we are going to start with the rights of nature on a global stage. Of course we have discussed, let's say it once again. Okay, if your text, have your text in your hand. So, when the nature is a teacher, it starts like that. We cooperate with her, we recognize her as agency or her right. So, what is the basic problem over here? What is our problem with the nature? First of all, we do not consider nature as someone or something very important and one who has rights just like us. Okay, this is the base of the problem. Now, the rights of nature in the global stage, or is not about in a rural or one particular area, how it has been discussed in the different parts of the world. This is what we are going to deal with. Now first of all, that's something about Ecuador. Of course the paragraph seems to be confusing, but it is very simple. Okay, now what Ecuador has done is that it has, in its constitution, in the constitution of Ecuador, they have considered rights of nature. This is one point. Another point we have to understand that of Bolivia, what happened over there. Now, Universal Declaration of Rights of Mother Earth by Bolivia. So Bolivia has declared this. Mother Earth has a universal, right of Mother Earth, and from these two, influenced by these two and others, United Nations General Assembly in April 2011, that is during Earth Day celebration, they have organized a seminar that is Harmony with Nature. So United Nations General Assembly organized Harmony with Conference, Harmony with Nature, not Conference on Harmony with Nature on April 2011. These are influenced by these two events. Understood? And after this conference, United Nations Secretary General writes a report based on that, what I have discussed. So issued a conjunction means what they have discussed, a final result, and he says ultimately environmentally destructive behavior is a result of failure to recognize that human beings are an inseparable part of nature and we cannot damage it without severely damaging ourselves. So finally what is said, this in the report he says that we do not recognize that our human beings, we do not recognize us as a part of nature, we are just a part. Okay, but instead we consider ourselves separate from the nature. So when we consider ourselves separate from the nature, when we do not consider ourselves a part of nature, we start damaging the nature. But if we damage the nature, ultimately we are damaging ourselves. We are damaging ourselves more. This is what has written in the conjunction of the conference. Okay, continuing with this part, we have discussed what is that separateness. So separatism, Comacullinan writes something, or his opinion has been given in the next paragraph, that is page number 25, somewhere in the middle. Separatism is indeed at the root of disharmony with nature. So there is disharmony with nature. We and nature, human beings and nature, there is no harmony. We are destroying the nature, right? So why it is there? Because of this separatism. So what is separatism? Or another word, feeling of separateness. We are separate from the nature. Another word we have, it has been used, apartheid. Now when we are studying history and Africa, we have come across this apartheid policy. So apartheid policy is there. Over there it's a racial segregation, separating one race, white from black, or blacks are not allowed. So that is between the races. Now we are talking about eco-apartheid. Eco-apartheid, over here we human beings are separating ourselves from the nature. So this part of separateness, now eco-apartheid is based on, last line over there, based on illusion that separateness of humans from the nature in our minds and lives. So we are feeling separate from the nature. This is eco-apartheid. Now this is the next level problem, right? So how all this has been started? Eco-apartheid policy. Now why are we damaging the nature like that, or were we damaging the nature as we are damaging now? Well, we can find out the answers in the next part, that is dead earth worldview. Now dead earth worldview, what is this part deals with? In this part it is said that earth is dead. This is one of the idea. Earth is dead matter. And there is another idea we always have been studying, Mother Earth, Bhumi Tai. Well, so this difference is that there is a vast difference. Earth is just a thing you can use. So when do we start feeling like that? She says, the war against the earth began with the idea of separateness. So we are waging war against the earth. That means we are destroying the earth. We are killing the earth. We are trying to conquer the earth, right? Now, the contemporary seas are sown or started during the Industrial Revolution, or in order to facilitate, in order to help the Industrial Revolution, this thing started. Until then, there was, over here we have diversity was there. The diversity was the major issue, belief over there. Now diversity was replaced by monoculture. Why? Because of Industrial Revolution. They needed something of same type or same crops, all this kind of stuff. Then another aspect, until then earth was considered to be vibrant nature, they used to call. But what happened then? In order to help them, it is considered to be raw material. If it is a raw material, you can use. If it is a vibrant, it is something sacred, something very nice. We don't do that, right? So again, industrialization, profit making. There is another concept he talks about, terra madre. Terra madre replaced terra nullius. Terra madre, that is mother earth. Terrain, we know, we have come across this word already, terrain. So madre, it's again a word for mother earth, replaced by terra nullius. Nullius, null, nothing, nil. So okay, so empty land. Earth is considered to be empty land. If there is empty land, go conquer, use it, and well, make profit out of it. This is one of the idea come up with the Industrial Revolution. So the dead earth worldview has started with the industrialization. There is another person, one important person, it's a Francis Bacon and his ideology. Who is this Francis Bacon? Francis Bacon is called as father of modern science. Okay, he says that science and inventions, they have a lot of power. Let me quote, not merely exert a gentle guidance over the nature's course, they have the power to conquer and subdue her, to shake her to her foundation. How much power science and inventions have? You can conquer the earth, you can change it as you wish, like Three Gorges Dam. This is his idea, how much power science have. And this idea facilitate Industrial Revolution. You can make earth as you wish, you can change it. That is one of the idea. And Carol Merchant is a philosopher and historian, points out one idea, that is shift of perspective. Observes there is a change in the ideology, understanding, perspective. What is that? Nature as a living, nurturing mother to dead and manipulate matter. So what is that? Basically, until then, until Industrial Revolution, there is a thought or the feeling or ideology that earth is living and nurturing mother. It's like mother. And after that, it's considered to be dead matter. You can manipulate, you can change it, you can use it. Why? All this helped to industrialization, capitalization, profit making, right? So this images Francis Bacon and other people who actually supporting the industrial revolution, they did not they are focusing on exploiting the earth, making profit out of it. This is one. Here it's pointed out that we do not slay our mother if there is a gold inside her, right? So we do not harm something when we consider it's a person or our mother. But if you are considering earth as dead matter and there is a gold or there is something precious in it, we will dig it out and we will use it in any case, right? So this is one of the idea. As soon as we have changed our idea about the earth as from mother or a person, feeling as if it's our own mother, we will protect her, we care for her, we love her. But if it is something, a land, what is that? This kind of idea comes up again and again, and that causes this damage. Okay, next part, what nature teaches, which is in the page number 26 again. Now what can we learn from the nature? Remember the title, everything I need to know I learned in the nature. So this is one part. And today, at the time of multiple crises intensified by globalization, we need to move away from paradigm of nature as the dead matter. We need to move on an ecological paradigm, and for this, best teacher is nature herself. So what is happening today? So many natural calamities, flood, drought, landsliding, and all those things. Why it happened? In most of the cases, we can, not in every cases, in most of many cases we can observe that we are responsible for it, right? So whether it is artificial flood because the dam has been broken or dam is overfilled, or the landsliding and all, we are the responsible, right? So now why it is happening? Because we are considered earth as dead matter. We can manipulate it, you can use it, you can change the course of earth as you wish. It doesn't help all the time. So now where do we learn? Then what is the answer for this? If you want answer, let's go back to the nature itself. So then again Vandana Shiva discusses about Earth University. Now Earth University started in Navdanya forms. Okay, Earth University teaches Earth democracy. So what does Earth University does? It teaches democracy, not the democracy we already studied. This is Earth democracy. What is the difference? This is a freedom for all species to evolve within the web of life. You can underline, students. Earth University teaches freedom for all species to evolve within the web of life, and freedom and responsibility of humans as a members of Earth family to recognize, to protect and respect the rights of other species. Continues. Earth democracy is a shift from anthropocentrism to ecocentrism, and since we are all dependent on Earth democracy translates into human rights to food and water, to freedom from hunger and thirst. So what is it there? The concept of Earth in democracy is slightly different. In Earth democracy, in the democracy we have studied, we have considered only human beings, people. But when it comes to Earth democracy, it is not only human beings just one of so many other species. Everything, every animal, birds and species, the trees, grass, everything is part of it. And every one of these species have their own rights to live, to grow, just like human beings. So every members have these rights, just like humans. And what is our responsibility as a part of the family? As a part of family, what we are supposed to do? We are supposed to protect and respect the rights of others, just like how you protect the rights of your own family members, just as you protect your family members, In the same manner, we have to protect the rights of other species, whether it is animals or birds or whatever. Now, clearly there is a difference from anthropocentrism. That means human is the center of everything. Human is not center of everything. It is ecology, or nature is the center of everything. We are part of nature. This is one of the understanding we have to come across. Now, in the democracy we are living in, or we think that we are living in, or we have been taught, we have basic rights, including education, freedom, all this kind of. But over here, your rights is food and water, or freedom from hunger and thirst. That's it. Okay, you don't have to, you don't have right to kill some other species. You don't have that, all these rights, so that you can live as you wish. This is another idea over here. Next part, Earth University. Where is Earth University? It is in Navdanya form. Okay, now what is Navdanya? Navdanya is biodiversity form. What does Navdanya form does, or Earth University does? Earth University teaches its participants to work with the living seeds, living soil and web of life. Participants, who are the participants who go to Earth University to study? They are farmers, school children, people from across the world. And yes, what is it? Earth University teaches us to live in the earth as one of the member of the nature. Okay, and they have the courses. The Earth University offers so many courses. Two popular courses. That means there are more than 2 courses. You have to understand that. You have to understand. Most popular course, A to Z of organic farming and agroeconomy. This is ecology. A to Z of organic farming and agroecology is one course. Another course is Gandhi and globalization. These 2 are famous courses you can study in Earth University. Okay, where is Earth University? In Navdanya form. Where is Navdanya form? Well, we have already discussed that, right? Isn't it? Just let's remember. Then next part, this is the second part of the lesson, the poetry of the forest. Now here, this poetry of the forest is part of, taken from Forest and Freedom. That's an essay written by Vandana Shiva. Now, what is there in the poetry of the forest? Over here, she discussed about Earth University and how Earth University has been influenced by Rabindranath Tagore. And what is the basic philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore? This is one of the ideas which has been discussed over here. So, Earth University is inspired by Rabindranath Tagore's Shantiniketan. Shantiniketan started as a forest school. You may have studied in high school, I guess. He is Indian national poet and Nobel Prize laureate. Yes. Now, why did Rabindranath Tagore started Shantiniketan? In West Bengal, he started a forest school. To do what? To take inspiration from the nature and to create Indian cultural renaissance. What was the basic idea over here? Indian cultural renaissance and to take inspiration from the nature. So we have to take inspiration from the nature. And what are the link between these 2? Well, Shantiniketan started as a school, then it has become university in 1921, and it is one of the popular universities and famous centers of learning. Well, we have to go back over there. Why Vandana Shiva refers Shantiniketan now as what was the Tagore's idea? Idea is that we have to go back to the roots, or take inspiration from forest, Indian cultural renaissance. In order to have Indian cultural renaissance, we have to go to forest or the nature. Well, in one of the essays, Tapovan written by Rabindranath Tagore, he observes that Indian civilization is distinctive. Our source of regeneration, material and intellectual, are all from forest or nature. The source of regeneration of what? Indian civilization our intellectual are sourced in the forest, and if you have to renew it, we have to go back over there. Okay, it is not from the cities. Our civilization is not based on cities, it's based on the forest. That's what he says. One has to learn to communicate with the water, river, forest, all these things, because the culture of forest has fueled the culture of Indian society. The culture has arisen from the forest and influenced by diverse process of renewal of life, which always play at the forest, varying from species to species, from season to season, in sight and smell, sound and smell. The unifying principle of life in diversity of democratic pluralism thus become the principle of Indian civilization. So, in gist, Indian civilization. What in Indian civilization we have always studying unity in diversity. So another word, unity in diversity, we have discussing over here is that democratic pluralism. Democracy we have studied. What is pluralism? Bahutva, not giving importance to all. Okay, if you have text, you can go back over there. Condition of system in which two or more states, groups, principles, sources, authority coexist. It's not only human being, it's not only one particular religion, caste, area, region, language or race, human, animal, everything together we have to coexist. This is one of the basic principle of India, unity in diversity, or here it is discussed as democratic pluralism. Where can we find this? In the forest. All sorts of species, animals, birds, trees, all together, they live together in the forest. You can see them over there. That is actually where you can find democratic pluralism. So if you want to understand, if we want to understand, we have to go back there and we have to learn. This is the part he has discussed. Okay, so our culture, this is unity in diversity, influenced by the forest. So these are the ideas Tagore has discussed. Next part, in this unity in diversity, that is the basis of ecological sustainability and democracy. Diversity without unity becomes the source of conflict and contest. Unity without diversity becomes the ground of external control. Now here there is a confusion. Why unity and diversity both should go hand in hand? Observe over here. Diversity without unity becomes source of conflict. If separate groups are there, not even single group, or 3 or 4 groups are there, each and every group hate another group, then what happens? Definitely there will be conflict, there will be fightings, right? So what if there is unity but there is no diversity? Everybody thinks the same, act the same. Usually they end up in an external control, so somebody else can control them. So this is another idea. So this is true in both the nature and the culture. The forest is a unity in its diversity, and we are united with the nature through the relationship with the forest. So forest teaches us to be united. Okay, this is one of the idea which has been discussed. Then this part, somewhat a few lines are important. Let's just note down. Forest was not just the source of knowledge and freedom, it's also a source of beauty and joy. So forest is two sources. One, knowledge and freedom. Forests give knowledge and freedom. What does it give? Knowledge and freedom. And also it is also a source of beauty and joy. Nature is a source of beauty and joy. Nature is also source of knowledge and freedom. Forest or nature teaches us freedom. So these are the basic needs we need to have. What are the things? Knowledge, freedom, beauty and joy, happiness, right? So this is what you can get in the nature. Okay, so the art and aesthetics, harmony and perfections. Art and aesthetics, art we know that's aesthetic. Aesthetic is this arts which gives happiness to us is statistic, harmony and perfection, harmony, living, coexisting, living together, and then that leads to perfection. So all those we need we can get in forest. It symbolizes the universe. The forest teaches us union and compassion. So forest is a union, again coexist, democratic pluralism. So everything is there in the forest. Only thing we have to do that we have to go back and observe. And the other side doesn't mean that you have to go back to the forest. We have to understand it. We have to realize how the things happens. Okay. Then there is another thing. Forest also teaches us enoughness. As a principle of equality, how to enjoy the gifts of nature without exploitation and accumulation. So what else forest teaches? Enoughness. What is enoughness? Not wanting to have more and more, right? Equity, how to enjoy gift of nature without exploitation. So nature gives what do we need, so we can use it. We have to, it's our whatever nature gives we can use it, but not for accumulating. Accumulation means holding up or having more and more even when you do not need that. That forest teaches. Tagore quotes from ancient texts written in the forest. Now all that moves in this moving world as enveloped by God, and find enjoyment through the renunciation or through the greed of possessions. No species of the forest is the share of another species. Every species sustains itself in the cooperation with others. So what Tagore has said is that every species in this world, in the forest, coexist. They do not accumulate, and they do not accumulate. There is no greed of possession, and when there is no greed of possession, they need not fight against, or they need not worry about somebody stealing them or somebody not saving enough, and all those things. Everything will be good. And then another part is discuss about consumerism and accumulation. Now consumerism is a behavior where a person or people want to have more and more things, especially even when they need it, when they do not need it. Okay, it's something like advertisements forces us to buy something like new gadget or mobile phone. They give a lot of advertisements, and as a result you may want to buy it even though your previous phone is working perfectly fine, or your previous vehicle is working perfectly fine, somewhat, or something eatables, something like that. So even when you don't need it, because the advertisement shows that some heroes or some celebrity, not heroes, celebrities usually, when they shows these celebrities, we may want to buy it, we may want to have it. Another aspect over here, it is that somebody else have it, that's why even I too need it. This is another idea we have to observe. So unless we are coming out of this mood, or unless the end of the consumerism and accumulation, new beginning is not possible. So end of consumerism and accumulation. We need not accumulate a lot more than what we need. Okay, if it ends, that's the beginning of joy of living. So we may live happily. When we want something, we may not be able to live happily. When we want to purchase something but it is not possible, or when we want to have something which someone else have, so we always feel that okay, I may need it, I need it. That kind of feeling somewhere makes you to not to live peacefully. That won't leave you peacefully. So if you do not feel that, then yes, we can live happily. That's one of the idea over here. And the conflict between the greed and compassion, conquest and cooperation, violence and harmony that Tagore wrote about continues today, and it is the forest that we can show us the way beyond this conflict. Still there, even though Tagore has written long ago, it's still there. The ideas exist and we have to come out of it. Once we come out of this greed and we are involved in this compassion and cooperation, then again we can live happily, and there will be no conflict in such case. Okay, the conflict is there because we are greedy, we are accumulating more and more wealth. Understood? So what is said about in this particular part, Poetry of the Forest, how Indian culture has been influenced by forest, or most of our ideas are taken from the forest itself. Forest teaches us the basic democracy. What is that? Democratic pluralism. We need not go to some other country for democracy. The forest teaches us the pluralism. Okay, and why that diversity is needed? Diversity is needed so that nobody else can control us, we can control ourselves, but still unity is needed, otherwise there will be conflict. So in order to avoid that conflict, we need both diversity and unity, and we can find it, we can see this in the forest itself. So these are the basic ideas which has been discussed in this essay. Understood? So things we have discussed. First, Vandana Shiva's early influence, that is her mother, who is a farmer. She used to sing the songs about the forest, or compose the songs about the forest. Then how she was influenced by Chipko movement, and who started Chipko movement, that is a peasant woman from Garhwal region of Himalaya. And then how she was introduced to this movement when she went to swim in her favorite stream. There was no stream, instead of that stream has become trickles. So she wanted to do something, and during her vacation she done all the padayatras and noted down all the works and influenced the people to do it. And there is a reference given to one of the Bachni Devi's activity. What Bachni Devi has done is that she even stood against her own husband, who is a contractor, got the contract to cut the trees, and they wanted to teach the foresters the forestry, art of forestry. So from there we have discussed about the monocultures, beyond monocultures, not the monocultures but diversity. So monocultures of the mind, over here what they have discussed, there is monoculture, and the monoculture is there because of industrialization, and it is there in our mind, or we think like that, we are not thinking about the diversity. So even the farmers are growing one particular set of crops, so they are influencing the farmers to have the biodiversity in their farming, or biodiversity intensive form of farming. Now biodiversity based living economics, biodiversity intensive form of farming, they have to tell the farmers, but in order to give demonstration, in order to make them realize, accept, they needed to give demonstration. In order to give demonstration, they have started Navdanya form. So Navdanya University led to Navdanya form, and later in Navdanya form they have started Earth University. And where is this Navdanya form? That is in the Doon Valley of lower Himalayan region. And then under this Navdanya movement, they have also established seed banks, community seed banks, and now there are more than 100 community seed banks, and more than 3,000 varieties of only rice they have been saved, that is, has been said. Next, why there was a monoculture? Why we are harming the nature? We are harming the nature because we identify ourselves as a separate entity. We are identify ourselves as separate from the nature. Okay, so what happened over here? Because we feel ourselves separated from the nature, we forget that, or we thought that earth is a dead matter. Until then we were thinking about earth as a mother. Now earth has become dead matter. Once we do not consider earth as a mother or a person, and start to consider her as earth as a thing, then we started to we started to damage the earth in order to accumulate the wealth. So modern science also influenced them, and again there is later on there is a influence of other philosophers, other historians, other activists. Again we are coming back to the nature. Okay, now basic idea is that when because of industrial revolution, in order to help industrial revolution, the earth was considered to be dead earth, and terra nullius has become the idea, and monocultures are developed, and all that led to the destruction of the nature. And when we are destroying the nature, it also affecting us. For example, we can discuss about landslides. Because of over activities of the man, the landslides we can observe, right? So from over there, she shifts to what we can learn from the nature. So what we can learn from the nature. So she discusses again about the earth democracy. She discusses the idea that in earth democracy we are just a part of the living economics nature, and not the not anthropocentrism but ecocentrism, where we are just a part. We have rights as well as duties. Our right stops only till the rights of food and water, rights to free from hunger and the thirst. This is only our rights, nothing else. We cannot harm others. So this is what we have to learn. Then from Poetry of Forest, Rabindranath Tagore's idea, our culture, our renaissance, our idea, even democracy, democratic pluralism, we have learned from the forest. In order to renew our culture and tradition, we have to go back to the forest only, and not to some other distant sources. So these are the ideas which has been discussed in the entire essay. Understood? I hope you have understood, and if you have understood, let's move on to the next part. Okay, see.